Get you rolling, give it a couple seconds. All right.
Hey folks, Trey Anderson here from Alpha Kettlebell Fitness, and what we're going to share with you today is I know that some of you don't have kettlebells or are interested in kettlebells but might not have the equipment. So we're going to kind of make what's called a pre-kettlebell workout here to prepare you for some of the really cool and important movement basis that you're going to need when you get into doing kettlebells. We're using really normal, quote-unquote normal home use tools. We're going to use a stability ball, a medicine ball, and a pair of dumbbells. That's all you're going to need for this in your body weight, because we're going to do a little bit of body weight movement. The way we kind of set this up is pretty cool. We're going to do some kind of static ab work that's really important to prepare your whole body, working as a single unit for this, as well as doing some movement, basically really focusing on the hip hinge and going up overhead, because those are really, really key components to when you're doing kettlebell work, okay? So I'm going to go down into this. You're going to follow along right with me. If you want to do this workout, follow them. That's awesome. We're going to run through 2 rounds of this. If you want to go through more than 2 rounds, you can completely do that. I would say 2 to 4 times through this, just so you can get everything on an even standpoint. If you go on odds, you're going to miss out on one component or the other. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is a 1-minute plank hold. And make sure your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. Nice straight line here. Squeeze the butt. You can see if you're squeezing the butt well, the abs automatically lock in. So I'm just going to hold this for 1 straight. We're halfway there. Got 10. Alright, so there's that. Now we're going to go into some more loaded movements. It's going to go what we call 12-6, 12-6, so it's really easy for you to remember. Again, I'm going to go through this straight through. If you're going through this, go ahead and take the rest interval that's needed for you to keep your technique at high levels. I want to keep this video a little bit short, so I'm going through it straight through motion. Next thing we're going to go to is what we call a goblet squat. You grab your dumbbell as such, tuck it into as such here, keep your elbows tight to the body, don't want it out of the way, and we're just going to go squat for 12 reps. 1, 2. Doing your squats, make sure you keep your whole foot flat on the ground, weight on your heel, push the knees out as you hinge the hip back and change elevation. Next movement is just 6 each side, so we do a total of 12. Just a parallel grip, rotational overhead press. So we do a lot of overhead work when we're doing the kettlebells, so we're going to kind of get used to it here because a lot of people don't do a lot of it in their normal routines. So step, pivot, press. I like to do alternate, so make sure you get all the way pivoted around. So you want to step all the way, pivot all the way, and then do your press. It's kind of a 3-part movement. I kind of lost count, but I think this is 5. All right, here we go. So we've got 12-6, we're back to 12 again. We're just going to grab our medicine ball, do what we call total body extension. This is a really good movement. It's not about getting the ball overhead with your arms. We're trying to learn the hip hinge here. So knees are bent but not bending, and we're hinging all the way from the waist, and we're creating a movement from the hips. Ball is going to kind of swing between our legs as such. Just 12 easy reps. Just concentrate on that hip hinge, pushing back from here. Weight on the heels, toes off the ground if you need. But you need to have most of your weight on your heels. Now we're going to hinge through, extend. I'm going to straighten our legs all the way. Again, squeeze our buns just like we were doing on the plank. So now we're off to our last 6 drill. This is probably our most technical drill, which is why we have it at 6 repetitions. I want you to concentrate on accelerating from the lower level with the weights all the way overhead through the hips. Arms are, while the weights are attached to your hands, arms are relaxed. We're not pulling from them and muscling them up over the top. So that's why we're keeping this at 6, so you can concentrate on those technical values. So you can see there, that's what we call a high pull snatch. Very explosive movement, moving very fast. Pushing down into a deep position, creating that stretch through the hamstrings and glutes. Releasing it up and letting them fly overhead. The thing I like to use for a cue with that is we want to act as if we're going to throw them up behind us. We want to keep them really close to the body. If they get out of the way from us, it ends up looking like more like our total body extension as opposed to a high pull snatch. It needs to be a very vertical movement. Let's go ahead and finish off the last plank. About halfway. Got 10. And rest. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and roll right into the next. If you need to take a break before you go into your next full round, that's completely fine. So you can kind of see the plank, and with this ball rollout, we're working on keeping the hip from hinging, like still contracting the glutes, as opposed to going through range of motion, which is really just as important because it's where a lot of people have trouble is getting through that in range of motion and contracting back on the backside of the posterior chain of the body. So that's what we're trying to teach, along with some core strength and stability. So we're going to do reps here for 1 minute. I'll show you the important parts and we'll get going. So hands on. However far hands out you start is more how challenging the drill will be. We're squeezed here, straight line from all the way from your knee up to your shoulders, and we got to keep that line out and back so it looks like such. I'm going to press down into the ball as you come back.
Good.
Okay, I just finished my first round, but like I told you before, I'm going to immediately transition through this so we can keep the running time short for you. If you need to take a little break before you hit your round 2, that's completely fine. But let's get into this. So what we're going to do here is a ball rollout. I'm going to go ahead and start the timer while I talk the cueing points through to you and get into this. So I want to have hands on ball. Wherever we have it out in front of us is kind of where we're going to get the most resistance or not. So further away, the more resistance, closer it is, easier it will be. We're keeping a straight line from knee all the way up the shoulder. We're squeezing it through as such, so it looks like this. Out, hold my line, and back. So when we get out to this point here, the end point, and push into the ball, contract your abs and pull back in. What we don't want it to look like is something like this. We're not getting a whole lot of work there, and it's not really whole valuable, so you're just kind of going through the motions. You kind of notice with the plank and these rollouts, obviously they're doing a little bit of core work, but B, we're working on holding this static or extended in range of motion position with our hips and that posterior chain, butt, glutes, hamstrings, all that kind of stuff. That's really important when combined when we do the hip hinge stuff like we've done with the total body extensions and the high pull snatches. We need to know how to contract, and do one more for good measure, on both ends of the range of motion. So We're going back into our 12-6, 12-6. Starting with the goblet squats, just as such. I'm going to give you a little different angle this time. What you want to do on these squats, a lot of people will cut them short and come up to here. You want to come all the way up and extend. Another thing you want to do, especially as you get into your second, third, fourth rounds, you're going to get fatigued and you're going to want to do this type of thing. Don't bend over, change elevation with the legs and hips. Knees, hips are your primary moving joints, ankles doing some movement too. Let's go ahead and go into our press rotation. So parallel position, step, pivot, press. Again, for this press, footwork's really important, but we also want to press vertical, as if we're going to cover up the ears. We don't want the weights to be out in front of us. The first thing possible to hold. Right. Two more reps. And last one coming up. All right, going to our other half of the 12-6. Total body extensions again. I'm using about a 12-pound medicine ball. You can use anything between an 8 and a 12, 20-pound medicine ball. It's more about the size, being able to travel between your legs and to focus on that hip hinge. It's not necessarily about load, it's just about patterning the movement. So, knees are bent, they're not bending, they're coming full extension. First movement that we have on the way back, on the way down, is push back from the hips. Again, just like we talked about with high pull snatch, my arms aren't lifting this over my head. It's coming from the force I developed from pushing back here, creating flexion at the hips, and then subsequently extending. I got 4 more reps. The other thing you'll notice is I'm not swinging it down between my knees or below my knees. I'm trying to push back at a level above my knees, roughly thereabouts, because that's going to position your hand position when you're doing things like swings and snatches and things with the kettlebell. You want your hand to hit on the inside of your upper thigh. You want the kettlebell to pass above your knee. So, our most technical movement of the day again, high pull snatch. Let's show you a couple face-ons. So we're just doing 6 of these. So you can see that's a pretty explosive pull up the body. I'm going to show you 3 more. We've got good posture there. We're not reaching down into the rounded position, we're pushing back. Last time. So let's go ahead and finish that 1 minute rollout. Adjust it out just a little further. Just try to get as many good reps as you can. Remember to keep that butt squeezed, especially as you get fatigued. You're on your 2nd or 4th round through. You're doing these rollouts, or 6th if you're real aggressive. And it's going to be tired. Your glutes, hamstrings are going to be real tired. We've got time for about 1 more rep, maybe 2. and then we'll wrap this up. All right. So there you have it. It's a pre-kettlebell workout. We're using standard tools that many of you have at home. A mat, a stability ball, a pair of dumbbells, a medicine ball. Really simple things that you can use to get yourself ready and prepared to have a really great experience when you buy your first kettlebell and start using them. Again, the key facets of using kettlebell is moving through the hips and extending, and also to be able to go overhead. So this is why we did some of the things we did, and then also to use the plank and the rollout to learn how to stabilize from a fully extended position, or what I call squeezy, by squeezing the butt and locking in that posterior chain. So there you have it. Hopefully this workout gets you a good preparational base for pursuing and going into your kettlebell workouts. I would recommend, if you've never done or haven't done a lot of workouts with weights, or had some time off, I would recommend doing this workout 1 to 2 times a week for maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to getting into the kettlebell stuff. It'd be a really good foundational thing. Like I said before, you can repeat this anything between 2 and 4 times, even 6 would be a lot. It could take you, I don't know what we have on running time here, but it took me probably about 10 to 12 minutes to finish 2 cycles through. So you could easily have approximately 10, 20, or 30-minute workout, depending if you went 2 times, 4 times, or 6 times through this workout. So hopefully you enjoy the Alpha Kettlebell Fitness pre-kettlebell workout, and it does a lot to help prepare you for some awesome kettlebell workouts.